this is Mike of Black Cat Amplification. Today I've got a really cool little practice amp here. This is a practice amp that was built in a Mallory UHF-VHF receiver box. I'm not really sure exactly what it did, but this was a 1950s Bakelite container, and you hooked it up to your television set, and it had some tubes in it, and I'm not sure what it was really supposed to do, if it was supposed to expand what channels you could get, or maybe just like intensify the signals for UHF and VHF bands. Either way, it was a cool little enclosure, and I painted it black and this nice sort of retro blue color, and I built a circuit in here that was inspired by DLAB Electronics. Now, Terry from DLAB, he's got a channel on YouTube, and he explains, you know, how to build amps, how to repair amps, and he's one of my, well, he is my top inspiration for all the amps that I build. You know, if you've seen any of my other videos or listings, I build amps out of some really unique things. A lot of radio cabinets, things that I find in antique shops or at yard sales, speaker cabinets from old projectors, ammo cans. I've built amps in television sets. This thing is really, really cool though. It's probably one of my favorite low watt circuits that I've built to date. Terry designed the circuit, and it's got some really, really neat tubes in it. So starting over here, there's a rectifier tube, which is a 6x5 rectifier tube. Now, typically you'll see these and you'll find them, the black metal tubes from old radios. But I found one that was actually a glass tube. So I believe this is a glass RCA tube that I put in there. So it's kind of cool, so you can see the filament glowing there. The power tube, which is really kind of what's driving this amp, it's a 3-watt amp. It's a 6F6 tube. And I've got a really, really nice General Electric perfect label. There's no pitting on it. And it's one of those black metal tubes. So that basically pumps out 3 watts. And then over here you see this red tube. I know it's kind of hard to see on the video, but if you saw pictures from an ad where I was selling this, you can kind of see this red tube here. So this tube here is a 5693 tube. So basically it's kind of the same as the, what was the tube? The 6SJ7, I believe. Yeah, 6SJ7 was the preamp tube in this circuit. But the 5693 was this red version, which was really built, I think, for military applications. Supposedly, it's rated for like 10,000 hours of use. Super highly rugged tube. Doesn't really sound any different than the 6SJ7 tube, but it's just a really neat looking red tube, and it should last you like forever. And it's also one of those metal tubes. So that's it. It's a very, very simple circuit based off of some mostly radio tubes, right? A lot of these were used in radios, the 6F6 and the 6X5 rectifier tube, and even the 6SJ7 tubes are found in a lot of radio circuits. So very simple circuit. Terry's, I built it to Terry's specs. However, I did add a tone control to this. So this is a nice wide range tone control. His was just kind of a basic volume control 1-knob amp, right? So that's the volume. Let's turn the volume way down. And I've also got that as the on-off switch, okay? So you see a light comes on here too. I've got some LEDs to sort of light up the inside, which you'll be able to see better probably in photographs than on this video. And right now I've got it plugged into this Mesa Boogie 4x12 cabinet, and I've got it mic'd up. So I'm going to try to put the audio here so you can sort of hear what it sounds like through a mic'd speaker, but also mix that with what you're hearing in the room. So it would record really nice. It's a super quiet amp. Let's turn it up a little. And the tone control, let's put it all the way down. bit. So my my neck pickup. Sounds great. It's such a warm tone. One of the best sounding low watt circuits I've heard. I mean, it's just an awesome practice amp. Doesn't come with a speaker, but you know if you hook it up to any 8 ohm speaker, it's basically got an 8 ohm output. I'm going to try to show you that on the video here because I know that the pictures are showing it, but I left the back open so you can kind of see here what's doing. So I know it's a little far away, but I've got my instrument input. I actually built this with 2 outputs. So you have a main and an external. So you can either use 2 16 ohm speakers, because it's a total of an 8 ohm load is what this is looking for on the output transformer. So if you have 2 16 ohm speakers or speaker cabs, you can hook both of those up safely. Or if you just hook up one cabinet, hook up an 8 ohm cabinet. Don't hook up a 4 ohm cabinet because that won't be enough for the 8 ohm load that this amp is looking for. You can safely hook up one single 16 ohm speaker on the main input, or sorry, the main output here, and that would be fine. But you're probably not going to get as much, I don't know, clarity and boost as you would with an 8 ohm speaker. But that would be a safe mismatch, is what they call it. Now, one other really cool feature here is it's got a rectifier switch. So this was built into Terry's circuit, and I love this feature for this. It's right now set on tube rectification, so it's using that 6x5 rectifier tube, right? And if I switch it to diode rectification, you're going to get a little more volume and a little more punch, and it kind of tightens up the low end a little bit. So I'm going to play this a little bit more here with switching the tube to diode rectification. So you can see it's really nice inside. You can see the lights. I got the original faceplate here, or I guess really dial. It's got the graphics on it for the UHF-VHF bands, so that's really nice, cleaned up. And I painted it because the Bakelite on these, I've seen some really cool Bakelite radios that have sort of the swirly design, and if you clean them up and sand them and polish them, they look really nice. This is just a really drabby, ugly brown sort of container. So that's why I thought I'd jazz it up a little bit with the paint job on it, just to give it a nice retro look. So let's take this amp here, still on tube rectification, and I'm going to turn the volume all the way up. We get a little bit of crunch, right? I'm going to turn my audio down just a second on my speakers here so that when I mix the audio from the mics in, it's not blowing it out. So let's turn that tone knob all the way up and get some snap out of it. Which sounds really nice, and that's that preamp tube there breaking up, right? Let's hear it with the diode rectifier, alright? So I'm going to switch, find it in the back here. Where is that switch? It's on this side. Okay, so we're playing tube rectifier now, right? Switch it. Hear how it got a little bit brighter? Back to diode. Really cool 3-watt amp. Thing is so nice, and depending on the speakers you use, you get so many sounds out of it. I tried it with 12-inch speakers. I've tried it with a 10-inch and an 8-inch, and it just gives it a whole nother dynamic. So it allows you that freedom of using whatever cabs you want. And having the 2 outputs in this model allows you to hook up 2 different cabs, as long as you're matching the ohms to try to get it to 8 ohms, right? But a lot of flexibility. This is just the sound through this Mesa cab. These are 12-inch speakers. The microphones I have, I don't even know if I've got them positioned perfectly here, but just to give you the idea of what it sounds like coming through the cab. And I'm also mixing in the audio here from when I'm talking, which is my phone camera recorder audio. So you get a little bit of both, sort of like what's the sound like in the room, what's the sound like through the cabinet, and it's just great. I mean, it's just an awesome, super quiet. I basically concentrated on making sure that everything had enough space, everything was far away, all the AC was far away from the DC so that you're not getting that interference, but it just sounds awesome. I love it. It's great. Turn it back just a little bit to cut out that breakup. Let's push the amp. Put the diode rectifier on. It was on. Okay. Alright, and I'm going to put my Ibanez tube screamer on just to see what this would sound like through here. Sounds so cool. Got a muff pedal. And that one's going to be super loud. Let me turn that down a bit. fills takes them great. Nice little 3-watt amp. It sounds really nice and loud through a bigger cabinet. I mean, I had it all the way up, and it wasn't blowing out the entire neighborhood or anything. But I mean, it's definitely louder than practice volume if I have it cranked through a large speaker. If you have it cranked through like just a single 12-inch speaker or a 10-inch speaker, it can actually, you know, it's not pushing as much air, so it won't be quite as loud. But it's just a great little practice amp. So let me know if you have any questions. I've got this posted online for sale until it's gone. But if you write me through either YouTube or wherever you're finding this video, or wherever you see a listing for it, and you have questions, let me know. Again, this is inspired by DLAB Electronics. Terry's the man. I've learned so much from Terry, and he's really helped me so much understand circuitry, the importance of safety, all those great things that I love about building amps. And I do this for fun. I don't do it for business, so I try to sell my amps at just around cost, maybe a little bit more, just to kind of account for some of my test equipment that I have to get, and replacing soldering irons and things like that, and tools that I need to build them. But I don't do this for profit. I've got a day job for that. I just do this for fun. I like to get my amps into the hands of players that really enjoy them. So let me know if you have any questions, and thank you very much for watching.